Welcome to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Michelle. I'm an intuitive transformational coach, certified life coach, certified NLP practitioner, and speaker. I've spent the last 22 plus years helping myself and my clients learn how to create their own happiness and live more abundant lives. In this time, I've also overcome and healed from child sexual molestation, a compulsive eating disorder, hunger, and homelessness. Now it's your turn to move forward with your life and heal from childhood traumas or past experiences. In this podcast, I'll share how I was able to overcome all of my past struggles, as well as my personal stories of overcoming jealousy, loneliness, resentment, and bitterness, and how I learned to forgive. I'll also help you explore your shadow self, deal with having low or no self-esteem, and address feelings of not being worthy or loved. Using my personal experiences and extensive training, as well as stories of grief, loss, depression, and anxiety from my guests, I'll help you change your life and finally heal. Hey, loves. Welcome back to the Healing While Discovering Yourself podcast. And if you are new around here, welcome. I am so glad you are here. I'm so glad you hit play. And if this is your first time listening to an episode, then I am going to invite you to go back and listen to episodes at least 1 through 3, because they kind of lay the foundation. I share more about who I am directly, as opposed to just sprinkling pieces of me throughout each episode. The first 3 episodes I think I give you a little more of me than just the couple minutes I spend in each episode, if I even talk about me in that episode. Anyway, today if I'm honest with y'all, I'm a little amped up right now, because today's episode is titled "Where My Dawgs At?" And I chose the title of this episode because, on our journey, oftentimes we think that we're alone. We think that we're the only ones to have experienced whatever thing we have experienced. And the truth is, that's not true. That's just a story that we've been telling ourselves. And the truth is that there are people who are waiting to support us. There are people who are waiting to have our backs. There are people that are as loyal to us as dogs are to man. And in preparation for recording this episode, I needed a little inspiration. And so there is no more inspiration for me. Now, I'm talking about me when it comes to where my dog's at. This is for my dogs, hyping me up, getting me in the zone. There is no better, greater dog than the late, great DMX. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you a story about DMX. I fell in love with DMX back in, I believe it was 98. That was the first time I had heard of him. And he dropped his album, and I think it may have been his first album, is Dark and Hell is Hot. And in 98, I was going through so much. I was homeless. I was poor. I had experienced assault. I was just going through, I was lonely. just really going through so much in 1998. And I didn't have the best relationship with my mother. I really didn't have the best relationship with anyone. And the main reason why I didn't have a good relationship with anyone is because truly I didn't have a good relationship with myself. I did not love myself. And I'm being honest with you. Now, I was only 19, right? And so how much can one love themselves, especially when you've experienced the amount of trauma, childhood trauma that I had experienced. If you are familiar, I took the ACE test, not back then, I took it more recently. But just to give you an example of how traumatic my childhood was, ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And this test consists of 10 major experiences that have shown to have the greatest impact on people's lives. And so there's 10 major experiences that it measures. And it's not a comprehensive test, obviously, because it only measures 10 things. And it also doesn't take a lot of factors like poverty, racism, sexism. It doesn't take all of that into account. So, take it for what it is. But growing up, I had experienced 9 of the 10 major experiences. Okay. So I was traumatized. And of course, back then I didn't know that I had experienced a lot of childhood trauma. I just thought that I was broken. Okay. So back in 1998, here comes this man with a scruffy voice, growling, talking about, I mean, he didn't sound like that. Y'all can Google him, DMX, and you'll figure out how he really sounds. So he didn't sound like that. That was a terrible impression, Andrea. But anyway, he was saying things that I felt. You know what I mean? Like just talking about his own identity and where he felt he placed or ranked in the world. And he talked about, now this is how I experienced DMX, right? Some of y'all are probably like, I didn't get none of that from X. Well, I did, okay? I got all of that from DMX. And to me, my interpretation of his music was really, truly similar, and how he felt about himself and his life at the time was similar to how I felt about myself and my life at the time. And in his album, Is Dark and Hell is Hot, he really talked about decisions, making decisions. Again, this is my interpretation. Now y'all can go listen to it with a whole different perspective, and that's okay. But throughout the album, he talked about his decision making, and he talked about how almost like it was his album is Dark and Hell is Hot, right? Almost like he had the angel and the devil on his shoulder, and oftentimes he chose to listen to the devil, if you will, or that darker voice inside of him, knowing that there are options in front of him, but oftentimes he chose the darker side of things. And I think that resonated with me because, again, my life was dark at that time. Like I said, terrible relationships, working dead-end jobs. I had graduated high school. I didn't go to college right away because I didn't know what I wanted to become, who I wanted to become, what I wanted to become, what I wanted to do. And quite frankly, no one ever, I didn't have parents that pushed me to go to college. I didn't have parents that said, oh, Andrea, you need to go to college for this reason or that reason. I mean, they were just like, my dad wasn't around and my mother did the best that she could raising 5 children as a single parent. I mean, I knew who my dad was, right? I mean, he was in Chicago, but he wasn't that motivating type and all of that. And again, he did the best he could back then. I realize that now. I didn't know that back then, right? So this is no shade to either of my parents. This is no disrespect to either of my parents, because now I sit here being the person that I am because they were the people that they were, right? And so I don't regret anything, and I love them to pieces. And I'm so grateful that I still have both of them living with me. And I'm so grateful that I was able to forgive them while they're both still living, because some people don't have that opportunity. And so I'm grateful for that. And so back then in 98, when I found him, I was just like, wow, he gets me. He gets me and I get him. And so his words were always so very powerful to me. And as a matter of fact, even now, I actually still listen to his album, except now, unlike back then, I listen to the clean version. I actually purchased the clean version, but I actually do that a lot with rap albums. I purchase the clean version because to me, I just think that having the clean version, it just feels better for me. Again, nothing against anyone who uses swear words like, hey, do your thing, live your life, baby, right? Just for me, I prefer the clean version. And every once in a while, when I feel like getting crunk, I don't even think they use that word anymore. Hype. I don't even know what the word they use these days. But anyway, when I feel like getting hype, I'm like, give me all the cuss words because I need this, the energy I need, amped up. Like, but like 99% of the time I listen to the clean version. And so anytime I wake up kind of like in a funk or whatever, and I need to push energy through, I throw on some DMX. And so today with this episode entitled Where My Dawgs At, I just really want to encourage you to let you know that there are people who are willing and waiting to be loyal to you, like dogs are to their owners. But the one thing that you have to do is you have to show up. You have to show up. And you don't have to show up a specific way, but you do have to show up. You can show up broken. You can show up hurt. You can show up angry. You can show up frustrated. You can show up defeated. You can show up ashamed. You can show up resentful. You can show up bitter. You can show up happy, joyful, elated. You can show up however you need to show up, but you have to show up, right? Because understand this, dogs have this amazing sense about things. We know this because we can go to YouTube or we can even Google where a dog saved its owner's life, right? An owner was having a seizure or something like that, and the dog sensed it. And the dog saved its owner's life. And so that's why it's important for you to show up as you are, because your dogs, your people, they can sense your authenticity. What I've learned on my healing and self-discovery journey is that as long as you show up as you are authentically, people will honor you. They'll honor you. I mean, a lot of what I say is counterculture. A lot of what I say is polarizing. But people understand that even in my polarization, that there's authenticity in what I'm saying. And I'm not being polarizing for the sake of being polarizing because I want to be clickbait and because I want to get people's attention. No, I am being polarizing because I fundamentally believe in what I'm saying. And not only that, I fundamentally believe that there are people who are waiting to hear my message, to hear the things that I have to say so that they can begin their own healing and self-discovery journey. I wholeheartedly believe that. And so even when ideas come to me, sometimes I literally have to sit on them for months before I say something because it's so polarizing and it's so counterculture. I'm like, whoa, these people ain't gonna like me. And then I remember, while there may be people who may not like what you have to say, there are equal, if not more, amounts of people who are waiting to hear what you have to say. So where my dogs at? Where y'all at? Where are my people? Where are my high achievers who are ready to stand up and say, I'm a high achiever and I've achieved a level of success, and yet and still I need to heal from my trauma? Where my dogs at? Where y'all at? Where are those people who have these big, audacious goals and dreams and are afraid to tell them to somebody, to anybody, because you're afraid of the criticism, because you've been traumatized, you've been criticized your entire life, and you don't want to hear it. Where my dog's at? Where you at? You got to show up. I'm showing up. So I need you to show up. And the beauty is, because I have done my own healing, because I have done the work, because I have picked up my life piece by piece, I'm going to show up even if you don't. Because there's a next generation of dogs who are waiting for me. They're waiting to hear my voice. And the same is true for you. The same is true for you. You got to show up. And it doesn't matter how you show up, just show up authentically. If you're hurt, show up hurt. If you're broken, show up broken. If you're angry, show up angry. But show up. Show up. So that you can stand at the top and be like, where my dog's at? And then they come, roof, roof. They come barking at you. Like, I'm right here, dog. We right here, dog. We right here. But show up. Show up. Show up. They're waiting to support you, to fully support you on your healing and self-discovery journey. I promise you, you are not alone. You're not alone on this journey. You are not alone. But you have to show up. Show up. Make your presence known however you feel. Let that be known. And people will honor that. And people will respect that. And even though they may not say it to you, they will admire you for that. They'll admire you. And people who you don't know or who you don't think watch you, oh, trust me, they watch you. I get people all the time who have never commented, never liked any of my posts, for example, on Facebook. And then I go on social media and they come in my DMs on Instagram and they say, oh, yeah, you said this however many months ago on Facebook. Had no clue. Had no clue. Or people come into my DMs like, oh my gosh, I've been following you for, a year now, and I've been wanting to say this to you, Right? I don't know that they're watching me. I don't know. But you got to show up. You got to show up. And so make this promise to me. No, scratch that. Don't make the promise to me. Make the promise to yourself that you will begin to show up in your life. Show up for you. Show up for you. Because then when you show up for yourself, you will find all of the beauty in showing up for other people and realizing your worth. Because you're worth something and you matter. So, where my dogs at? Are you my dogs? You're listening to the podcast. Are you my dog? I don't know. If you my dog, let me know you my dog. Right? Reach out to me. Email my team. Reach out to me on Facebook. Reach out to me on Instagram. Reach out to me on YouTube. Right? If you my dog. Now, if you're not my dog, that's fine. I got a pack of them. I got my people. And I'm always willing to open that space to more. All right. So I hope that this was helpful. This is more of a chat, encouragement, inspiration, if you will. But show up. Show up for yourself because people really, truly do want to support you. All right. Thank y'all for being here. And as always, you know that the love in me salutes the love in you.
Hey loves, are you looking for a safe place to hang out while you're healing with other like-minded individuals? If so, then I would love for you to join my private Facebook community called Healing While Discovering Yourself, named after the podcast. This community is for those who are truly seeking a safe place to heal and also show up authentically. If this interests you, then I'm going to invite you to go to Facebook/groups/healing while discovering. I look forward to seeing you in the group. Tony Robbins said, "The quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you're asking yourself." And that's why I'm inviting you to download my free guide called 5 Powerful Questions to Ask Yourself to help you take back control of your life. In this guide, you will learn how to shift your mood, break negative thought patterns, and identify beliefs and stories so that you can explore the truthfulness of these stories. Go to andreamichelle.com/powerful to download this free guide today.